Welcome to the NitWits, a weekly roundtable discussion on the Penn State Nittany Lions. Our panel features a longtime Penn State media and NitWits tag team, Neil Rudell of the Altoona Mirror and Mark Brennan of Lions 247 with Fight on State. The NitWits are hosted by WTAJ Sports Director Peter Terpstra, and each week we welcome a former Nittany Lion as our special guest analyst. The NitWits are brought to you by Irwin Financial, Raymond James, an independent firm and a firm foundation for your financial future. By Coldwell Banker, no one will work harder to sell your home. By Courtesy Motor Sales of Altoona, where courtesy means a great deal. By The Allegro, where fine cuisine is a way of life. By Health South, your rehab choice. Health South Altoona, ask for us by name. By Monarch Cleaners, for all your dry cleaning, uniform, and mat rentals. By Reed and Solaney Orthodontics. Doctors Reed and Solaney provide orthodontics for children and adults. By W.S. Lee & Sons, your local food distributor. Go Penn State. By Allegheny Street Cigar. Allegheny Street Cigar, Blair County's only cigar lounge. By McAleer's Plumbing, specializing in plumbing, heating, and air conditioning, serving our community since 1886. By Shields Awards and the Sports Shop. We have a fantastic selection of awards, apparel, and memorabilia at great prices. By Freedom RV. Get ready to tailgate this Penn State football season with Freedom RV Rentals. By Jethro's, serving ribs, steaks, Italian specialties, and the famous Prospector Salad since 1983. Takeouts, delivery, and catering. By Lucky's Beer Distributor. Let Lucky's Beer get you ready for PSU game day. By Remax Results Realty Group, committed to a culture of professionalism, productivity, and exceptional service. By EasyToUse.com, your Yellow Pages connection in print and online. By Lions 247 with Fight on State, your online home for Penn State football and recruiting coverage. And by the Altoona Mirror, featuring Penn State Game Day every Friday and Penn State Extra every Sunday.
Welcome to Nittany Nation Overtime.
Hey, hi, hello. Welcome to Nittany Nation Overtime. Here we are once again. Penn State coming off a big win over Wisconsin. Neil, Mark, our special guest, former Penn State quarterback Wally Richardson. Thanks for joining us.
Thank you for having me.
This game, it was a chance to really see which direction the season could go. And defense holds strong. It seemed like power football. I think Penn State might have won the power football battle.
Yeah, I mean, I think Penn State was obviously coming off a game against Michigan in which I thought it was kind of dominated on both sides of the ball, defensively maybe later in the game. But to come up against a Wisconsin team, the one thing you know about Wisconsin, whether it's a good Wisconsin team or a not-so-great Wisconsin team, they are going to come at you and punch you in the mouth. And they did that to Penn State. They did it early, and Penn State responded. I thought that was a really nice effort coming off of the team's worst loss in a couple years. You talk about gut checks. How are they going to respond to getting blown out at Michigan? I thought they came back and played really well.
Yeah, early in the game, both teams, you had all 11, you had 22 guys in the box, which you'd really, and to me that said that Penn State had accepted this physical challenge and was eager for it. I mean, we've heard that this offensive line was the best offensive line that they've had under James Franklin, and it obviously didn't show it against Michigan, but I think they really came out and established a running game. And let's face it, they got to be able to run the football on a reliable basis with their tailback, and they really hadn't done that in a few weeks, so I thought that was positive.
Miles Sanders goes over 1,000 yards for the season. Wally, what'd you like out of Miles? What do you think he's been improving throughout the year?
I think he's been doing a really nice job of making sure he's not getting knocked back. You know, early in the year, sometimes he try to make too much happen, but when it's 3 or 4 yard gain, he's been getting those. And you know, as you can see from yesterday, popped a couple of ones when he was on the safety, even hurdling a couple of guys. So he's really gotten better as the year's gone on and done a really nice job for us.
It was flashes of Saquon. I mean, the whole stadium went crazy when he was hurdling guys. But I think the stars of yesterday's game, I think the Penn State defense did a tremendous job.
Oh, yeah, I mean, absolutely, and that's what I'm talking about. They give up that, 70-whatever yard touchdown run early in the game, and you felt a collective, oh no, kind of falling over the stadium. What's going to happen? How are they going to respond? And you know what? After that, they just toughened up, manned up, and played really tough. It was good to see, from my perspective, I like the fact that they got Micah Parsons more snaps. Don't want to be negative toward Koa Farmer. He's been a fifth-year guy who's been a really good player for them. But Parsons came in, gave him a bit of a jolt, and then that defensive line, wow, how far has that unit come? The ends are playing really well. Givens from here and Altoona's playing well. Windsor, to me, is one of the most improved guys on the team.
Yeah, and I think they sort of settled into more of a rotation on defense, particularly in the second half. Parsons played most of the second half, but they didn't play as many people. They rested these guys during the week, and you got 5 sacks out of the defensive line. I know you predicted it at the beginning of the season, but Gross Matos has really become a star at this point. And Sharif Miller, and I think getting turnovers, getting to the quarterback, I think it's something that they've really needed because their turnover margin hasn't been great.
Well, you were down on the field. What was it like when those lines were smashing heads? Because I think you know what Wisconsin's bringing on an O-line.
Yeah.
What was it like from your view seeing the D-line go against that?
It's no secret what Wisconsin does, and I was looking at their right tackle, and he, from my vantage point, he looked like he's about 6'7" or 6'8".
Right, and you're 6'5", right?
Yeah. So I mean, there are some big guys, and you just kind of know what you're in for. And I think our guys accepted that challenge. That was important for them to do that, and they knew it was going to be that type of football game where it had to be mano-a-mano, and we had to win more of the one-on-one battles. And as the game just went on, we were able to do that, and it was nice to see that.
I thought there were some good coverage sacks in the secondary. Hey, clearly Wisconsin really doesn't want to throw the ball. You look at it, it's hard to believe they were ranked number 4 in the preseason poll, and they don't have a backup quarterback playing there. Hornibrook was out. They really couldn't get – they averaged 3 yards per attempt. Well, you're not going to win too many games doing that. But I thought at times he had adequate time and there was nobody open.
Yeah, I'll go back to Windsor. You're talking about a kid from Wisconsin who somehow ends up at Penn State. Wisconsin offered him after he committed to Penn State. To see him play so well, and then afterward in the post-game press conference, Pete, I know you were there. Yeah. He was definitely loving the fact that he was able to get all over his home state team.
He had 2 sacks yesterday.
Yep.
Yeah. I feel like he's had some big games too, as you mentioned, being one of the most improved guys. And that position group obviously made some big-time plays. All right, coming up next, Trace McSorley. We talk about him all the time. He went down again, which begs the question, can you afford to rest him for a game? Maybe we'll take a peek at that next.
The NitWits are brought to you by Irwin Financial, Raymond James, an independent firm and a firm foundation for your financial future. By Coldwell Banker, no one will work harder to sell your home. By Courtesy Motor Sales of Altoona, where courtesy means a great deal. By The Allegro, where fine cuisine is a way of life. By Health South, your rehab choice. Health South Altoona, ask for us by name. By Monarch Cleaners, for all your dry cleaning, uniform, and mat rentals.
You're watching Nittany Nation Overtime.
Welcome back to Nittany Nation Overtime. We are still here with the NitWits, folks. We love it when you guys come in here and we get to break down some stuff. When it comes to Trace McSorley, how important he is to this team, 2 home games in a row, the last 2 home games, you saw him on the ground holding that knee in pain. He finishes the game both times. What do you make out of him being able to finish each game and do what he's done?
I mean, he's the bionic man. I mean, he's just amazing how tough he is and his will to win. I think yesterday he did enough. I don't think he had necessarily his best game. He threw for a decent percentage. He had a drop or 2. But he doesn't look to me like he can explode on the run like he used to and be his elusive self. But his leadership, the belief everybody has in him, and the intangible is what I think helped win that game.
I liked what Ricky Ronnie did. As much heat as Ricky Ronnie may take on the message boards, including ours, I liked what he did to play to what kind of maybe Trace's limitations. Maybe that's not the right way to put it, but we saw a lot more of the short passing game, didn't we? And then when they get down by the goal line, they didn't try to have Trace run it in. They gave it to Miles Sanders, which I thought was really smart. Let the guys who are healthy get it done. If you're committing to having him out there, I mean, what was he, 17 of 25 or something? But I think he only averaged like 6 or 7 yards per completion, which is fine because that allows you to control the ball and that allows you to keep the Wisconsin offense off the field. I don't know. What did you think, Wally?
I think that's good. That's one thing that we've had to improve throughout the course of the year. We have gotten in too many situations where we have 3 and outs, or where it's 3rd and 12, 3rd and 13. It's hard to, call plays to complete those things. So sustaining drives is very important, and with the amount of time that our defense has been on the field the last few weeks, I think it's important that our offense helped them out, and they were able to do a good job of getting down there to the red zone and getting some points on the board throughout the course of the game.
Time of possession swung in Penn State's favor. I also liked the use of the young wideouts. Dotson is emerging. They had a nice crossing pattern to him, and I think that there were some pluses. Pinniger from fairly deep on a windy day was a plus as well.
They didn't give up on him either. I mean, they kept putting him out there in pressure kicking situations. And he's had his ups and downs this season, but they seem comfortable with him, and that's got to be a good thing going forward.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, he also struggled a little bit. Now, granted, the conditions were horrendous down there. I don't know if the wind was blowing left to right, right to left, swirling, or what it was doing. But when he made that, I thought when he made that field goal, the first one, what was it, 49 yards?
Yeah.
To me, that really. It was almost like a dagger for Wisconsin, in the sense that you just didn't get the sense that Penn State was ever seriously not in control after that point. And the other people that I'd like to give a shout out to, we touched on it in the first segment, the O-line. They really struggled against Michigan. And to come back, they flipped the tackles for some reason, I'm not sure why, but to come back and play the way that they played after having what was admittedly a poor game at Michigan, I thought was a really good sign for this offense moving forward.
I want to go back to Trace McSorley, Tommy Stevens real quick. We've seen Tommy. We've gotten some good looks at him. I don't think we've gotten a look at him in a pure quarterback sense, because he's got a very special role, specialty kind of position. But going against Rutgers, I mean, do you think about, maybe resting Trace?
Well, I hope so. I wondered with a 16-7 lead whether they were going to ride Stevens a little bit. It's Trace's team. I understand that. He's the quarterback. If he's semi-ready to go, he's going to play. I think if there's an opportunity to get a lead, a quick lead, and maybe go and see more of Stevens to preserve McSorley, because he clearly, I don't think, is 100%. But I also think that the offense is asking both quarterbacks to run too much. I mean, they ran 18 times yesterday.
And we've seen
Stevens had 7 runs and no passes. It's 2nd and 18 when he gets in there in plus field position, and the first thing is right up the middle for 5 yards. So I'm not sure. I think they need to build more trust in him in the passing game. Yeah,
I don't think that we're going to see. I think they're going to stick with Trace, because that's what they do. I mean, that's what they've done. Yeah. They don't like switching QBs. The only thing I don't like, or one thing I don't like about when Stevens gets in there, it's almost as if he's going to run the ball whenever it seems kind of predictable. And Wally, I don't know if you could explain this, but why would you keep Trace in there and split him wide
as a wide receiver,
as opposed to running a wide receiver in, especially if he's lined up right next to the sideline?
That's a good question.
You're the only quarterback.
You're the quarterback. Did you ever line you up the wide?
Nah, but that's what's in vogue now. Joe Flacco, the Ravens, they stick him out there and he just stands up.
I don't get it.
I don't know. I'd like to see something more productive out of that. I think Tommy, he's a good enough athlete. He's going to be the quarterback, so he's got to have some opportunities to get his feet wet and throw the ball a little bit. So that's something I would look for them to do, especially the next 2 weeks.
But when you get a young quarterback, and you started as a true freshman, I think, at Cincinnati, don't you give a young quarterback any quarterback when they first get in there who's inexperienced, a couple easy throws right away to kind of get their feet wet?
I think you give them plays that they're comfortable with, that you've talked with them about. Like, what do you ask them, what do you think of this play? I don't like that. You give them stuff that they're comfortable, know what the read is, know where the 1-2 is, and if it's not there, throw the ball away or run, that type of thing. So I think the coaches have to help the quarterbacks in that way when they don't have a lot of experience.
And I like what you mentioned about if they build a lead against Rutgers. We'll get to Rutgers in a bit. If they build a lead against Rutgers. Of course. If they build a substantial lead and you're able to, maybe we'll see more different things out of Tommy. Maybe they bring. We'll see. Still ahead, we're going to take a look at some of the things that maybe we didn't like. Fumbles, a negative trend for Penn State keeps coming back, including one of their stars having trouble with that next.
The NitWits are brought to you by Reed and Solaney Orthodontics. Doctors Reed and Solaney provide orthodontics for children and adults. By W.S. Lee & Sons, your local food distributor. Go Penn State. By Allegheny Street Cigar. Allegheny Street Cigar, Blair County's only cigar lounge. By McAleer's Plumbing, specializing in plumbing, heating, and air conditioning, serving our community since 1886. By Shields Awards and the Sports Shop. We have a fantastic selection of awards, apparel, and memorabilia at great prices. By Freedom RV. Get ready to tailgate this Penn State football season with Freedom RV Rentals.
You're watching Nittany Nation Overtime.
Welcome back to Nittany Nation Overtime. We've seen kind of a reoccurring problem with not just Miles Sanders, but we saw with a couple different people yesterday. The ball's on the ground a lot. And that, I mean, everyone knows you got to get that cleaned up. Coaches said you got to get it cleaned up, but what can they do?
Hey, there's 19 fumbles, and there were 2 yesterday that were sort of bang-bang that were ruled down with Sanders, although I think he played a really good game. How about C.J. Thorpe rumbling, stumbling? And I thought this was kind of interesting at the end when he came off and Sanders said, "Hey, you got to work on ball security." Thorpe told him, "You need to work on ball security." He says, "Well, you're right." I think that's one thing the team collectively could get better at.
Yeah, overall they have to work on ball security. But we've been sitting up in their press box all year saying, "Please kick it to Thorpe. Please kick it to Thorpe," because he's the up man. I don't know if people are paying attention to it, but he's the up man, and we were just waiting for him. And he actually looked pretty good until he fumbled. And then I can't really fault Sharif Miller.
Yeah,
I mean, that to me is much, much, much different than your primary offensive guys losing the ball. But the play at the end, we were talking about it off air a little bit. I just don't get why you have to get so cute with having Stevens and Sanders and running in motion and trying to run clock, doing all those things. I didn't like that. I think sometimes at the end of these games, they just try to get too cute when they don't need to be.
These are learning lessons, we hope, right, going forward. And it's interesting to kind of see how the offense has changed. Or I thought this game with the short passes and eating up the clock, I thought that I feel like the game plan worked pretty well, even though we didn't get any touchdowns in the second half anyway. You would have liked to have scored some touchdowns on those final drives. Yes. Wally, to you, if you have a guy who's having trouble holding on to the ball, I mean, what can you do? That's the biggest question and every coach has asked about it. How do you stop fumbles? Well, we do it every day. I mean, there's no secret, but what can
Lester
they do?
Hayes?
The quickest way to solve that problem is to sit them down. That's what can happen. If you can't protect the ball, you're going to sit out a series or two until you get back on track with knowing how important it is to secure the ball. And I think that teaches that guy a lesson at the same time his teammates, because everybody has to see how important it is. And when a big guy is carrying the ball, they're not used to carrying the ball. Right, CJ, he secured the ball real nice, but when I saw him do it, and the stadium was, but then, the stiff arm, and then the next thing the ball's on the ground, then it's like, so, just do what you need to do. Nobody has to be a hero out there. Just do what you need to do and let the people that normally carry the ball do that.
I did mention in the last segment about the quarterbacks carrying the ball too much, so because I think that's taking away some touches for the backup running backs and maybe even from receivers. The other thing is, to me, there's been a lot of indecision about the field goals at times. And even yesterday, after Penninger hit 2 at the far end, James called timeout with 16 seconds to go and effectively iced his kicker. And then he missed. I just think generally with these field goals, there's been some indecision and some hesitation, and sometimes it's hurt them.
I know. I sit right next to him in the press box, and believe me, I hear about it.
Yeah, they'll probably.
No, you don't agree with. Don't agree with me. It's okay.
I feel like with Penninger still being a freshman, and they have confidence in him, but maybe they just need to take it to the next level. I mean, maybe he just needs more opportunity. I'm just speculating. I mean.
Well, where I would agree with Neil is if you're going, just make your decision, do it. You know, don't. It always seems as if they're delaying and not very firm in what they're doing at points. Not always, I shouldn't say that, but just make your decision, go for it.
Overthinking the situation.
That said, their special teams were a strength yesterday, I thought. You know, even though he missed an extra point, they fake a field goal or fake a punt that was a big play in the game, and they had that done to them. I thought pooching it down there and Sutherland alertly catching it pinned Wisconsin back. So there were some good plays.
Glass half full from Neil.
Hey.
Glass half full.
Well, that was an excellent punt by Gilligan. It's good to see him getting back to some success. He's had a couple rough stretches when he's been a guy that you just expected, nothing but good things at the beginning of the year. When it comes to bowl predictions,
well, that's a segue and a half.
Yeah, right. I'm working on it.
You're doing a good job, Pete.
We have 3 losses right now, 7-3. You got Rutgers next on the road, then Maryland at home. What are we thinking as far as options here?
I think most people feel that it's going to be the Citrus, former Cap 1, Orlando, or possibly the Peach if they can land in a New Year's Six Bowl. I think they have to finish in the top 12 for that. Is that right?
Yeah, but to me, I think Jerry Palm of CBS, he does a really good job with this stuff, and he has them going to the Citrus at this point. But this seems like a Citrus Outback, that sort of thing, provided Penn State wins out. And I think that would be good. I mean, listen, you would prefer to go to a New Year's Six game if you can. But for where this program is this year, you went to 2 straight New Year's Six. Maybe this is a little bit of a step backward, but I still think you could use those. We've seen Penn State use those bowl games to build to better things in the following years, and both of those are just terrific bowls. You're going to get a really good opponent. Wouldn't it be hilarious if you got Mississippi State somehow? I mean, that would be such a blast. It would be. Come on, Franklin would even like that.
Do you think the staff wants Moorhead?
That would be. I'll tell you what. A lot of people would watch that game. It would be fun.
A very cool game to watch. All right, so the lot's going to ride on this next game and the final 2 games. Coming up next for Penn State, it's the cellar dwellers of the Big Ten. Rutgers has had a rough go of things. Prediction time next.
The NitWits are brought to you by Jethro's, serving ribs, steaks, Italian specialties, and the famous Prospector Salad since 1983. Takeouts, delivery, and catering. By Lucky's Beer Distributor. Let Lucky's Beer get you ready for PSU game day. By Remax Results Realty Group, committed to a culture of professionalism, productivity, and exceptional service. By EasyToUse.com, your Yellow Pages connection in print and online. By Lions 247 with Fight on State, your online home for Penn State football and recruiting coverage. And by the Altoona Mirror, featuring Penn State Game Day every Friday and Penn State Extra every Sunday.
Hey folks, welcome back to Nittany Nation Overtime. We're going to get right into it. Our Nitwit of the Week standings led by Mark Brennan. I am in dead last, of course. Last week, our guest picker, Mike Irwin, former Penn State captain, he was our winner. Boy, sorry about that half of football, Neil. All right, let's go into predictions. Rutgers, Saturday, noon kickoff. Not a lot of hype surrounding this one. Rutgers had a rough season. I'm going to say Penn State gets the shutout, 28-0, defense playing well.
How do you feel if you're Rutgers? You got Michigan and Penn State back-to-back in November while you're 1-8 or 9. I'm going to say Penn State 45, Rutgers 14.
Okay, Wally?
I'm going to go with Penn State 38-17.
Yeah, and I think the Penn State defense playing really well. Rutgers is struggling, as we know. Penn State defense has actually played well against very good opponents. This is not a very good opponent, so I'm going to pick at Penn State 38-6. And if I could say one thing real quickly, hey, thoughts and prayers out to Wally Triplett and his family, a great member of the Penn State family. Stood for so much in terms of crossing color barriers and that sort of thing. So everybody's going to miss him. Great man.
And started the We Are, right? Just been so iconic at Penn State. That was nice. Folks, that's going to do it for us. Nittany Nation Overtime. Rutgers is next. That is noon kickoff Saturday. We will join you again after that. Bye.
The The Nitwits are brought to you by Irwin Financial, Raymond James, an independent firm and a firm foundation for your financial future. By Coldwell Banker, no one will work harder to sell your home. By Courtesy Motor Sales of Altoona, where courtesy means a great deal. By The Allegro, where fine cuisine is a way of life. By Health South, your rehab choice. Health South Altoona, ask for us by name. By Monarch Cleaners, for all your dry cleaning, uniform, and mat rentals. By Reed and Solaney Orthodontics. Doctors Reed and Solaney provide orthodontics for children and adults. By W.S. Lee & Sons, your local food distributor. Go Penn State. By Allegheny Street Cigar. Allegheny Street Cigar, Blair County's only cigar lounge. By McAleer's Plumbing, specializing in plumbing, heating, and air conditioning, serving our community since 1886. By Shields Awards and The Sports Shop. We have a fantastic selection of awards, apparel, and memorabilia at great prices. By Freedom RV. Get ready to tailgate this Penn State football season with Freedom RV Rentals. By Jethro's, serving ribs, steaks, Italian specialties, and the famous Prospector Salad since 1983. Takeouts, delivery, and catering. By Lucky's Beer Distributor. Let Lucky's Beer get you ready for PSU game day. By Remax Results Realty Group, committed to a culture of professionalism, productivity, and exceptional service. By EasyToUse.com, your Yellow Pages connection in print and online. By Lions 247 with Fight on State, your online home for Penn State football and recruiting coverage. And by the Altoona Mirror, featuring Penn State Game Day every Friday and Penn State Extra every Sunday. Thanks for watching, and we'll see you next week.